I was 28 when my world collapsed in a conference room. My business partner and cousin, Marcus, stood before the board of directors and said the words that would destroy everything I'd built. Sarah has been stealing from the company. I have proof she's been moving money into offshore accounts for months. The room went silent. My grandfather's antique desk sat in the corner, a reminder of the man who'd built Peterson Manufacturing from nothing and left it to both of us. Every board member's eyes turned to me. What are you talking about? I stood up, my chair scraping loudly. Marcus, this is insane. Don't pretend. He clicked a remote, and a screen lit up behind him. These are bank transfers. 50,000 here. 75,000 there. All traced back to accounts Sarah opened in the Cayman Islands. My hands went cold. I'd been managing our international shipping accounts. Yes, I had access to transfer funds. But I'd never stolen a penny. Those are legitimate business expenses, I said, my voice shaking. Marcus, you approved half of those transfers yourself. I approved payments to real vendors, he said smoothly. Not to shell companies you created. The forensic accountant found everything. My uncle Richard, who sat on our board, leaned forward. Sarah, these are serious accusations. Do you have documentation proving these were authorized? Of course I do. It's all in the shared drive. Marcus, tell them. You signed off on the Singapore expansion. Marcus shook his head sadly. Sarah's been acting strange for months. Paranoid. Erratic. I think the pressure of running grandfather's company has been too much for her. I didn't want to believe she'd actually steal, but the evidence is clear. This is a lie. My voice cracked. Uncle Richard, Aunt Linda, you've known me my entire life. I would never. The evidence doesn't lie, sweetheart, Aunt Linda said, and her pity hurt worse than anger would have. Maybe you need help. Professional help. That's when I understood. Marcus hadn't just framed me for theft. He'd been planting seeds for weeks, maybe months, about my mental state. Suddenly I remembered the concerned looks when I'd stayed late at the office. The questions about whether I was sleeping enough. The comments about stress. He'd built a narrative, and I'd walked right into it. I want an independent audit, I demanded. Bring in someone from outside. Not Marcus's forensic accountant. Someone neutral. The board exchanged glances. Uncle Richard cleared his throat. Sarah, given the severity of these allegations, we need to put you on immediate leave. We'll investigate, of course, but until then. You're suspending me? I couldn't breathe. From the company my grandfather left me? Left to both of you, Marcus corrected gently. And right now, the company needs stability. I'll take over operations temporarily while we sort this out. I looked around the table. These people had been at my birthday parties. Had celebrated when grandfather named Marcus and me co-owners. Had congratulated us when we expanded into 3 new states. Not one person was meeting my eyes. Fine, I said quietly. But I'm hiring my own lawyer. And when this is over, Marcus, you're going to regret this. He smiled, small and triumphant, when he thought no one was looking. Sure, Sarah. Whatever helps you cope. I walked out of my own company with security watching, like I was a criminal. The family dinner that weekend was worse than the board meeting. My mother opened the door, and I saw the hesitation in her face. Sarah. We need to talk. Inside, Marcus was already there, sitting on the couch like he belonged in my parents' house more than I did. My father stood by the fireplace, arms crossed. My younger sister Emily was crying. How could you? Emily burst out when she saw me. Grandfather trusted you. I didn't steal anything, I said, but my voice sounded weak even to myself. Marcus is lying. He's framing me. Sarah. My father's voice was heavy with disappointment. Marcus showed us the evidence. The bank records. The shell companies with your signature. And, honey, he told us you've been struggling. That you've been having episodes. Episodes? I stared at Marcus, who looked appropriately concerned and sad. What did you tell them? Only what I've witnessed, Marcus said quietly. The paranoia. The sleepless nights. Finding you talking to yourself in your office. Sarah, we're all worried about you. This isn't about the money. We want you to get help. It was masterful. He turned theft into mental illness. Made himself the concerned cousin. Made me the unstable one. I'm not crazy, I said, but even I could hear how desperate that sounded. My mother reached for my hand, and I pulled away. Sweetie, we found a wonderful facility. Just for a few weeks. You can rest, get treatment, and we'll figure everything out. You want to commit me? The room tilted. You actually believe him? We believe you're sick, my father said. And we love you. That's why we're doing this. I looked at Marcus. He met my gaze with false sympathy, and I saw the truth there. He'd planned this perfectly. The theft accusation was just step one. The mental illness angle was the trap that would keep me from fighting back. If I protested too much, I'd seem paranoid. If I got angry, I'd seem unstable. If I fought the psychiatric hold, it would prove I was delusional. I need to use the bathroom, I said. My mother nodded, relieved I was being calm. The second I was alone, I grabbed my purse and climbed out the window like I was 16 again. I drove to my apartment, threw clothes into a suitcase, and emptied my personal bank account at an ATM. $3,000. Everything I had outside the company. By morning, my family had filed paperwork to have me involuntarily committed for psychiatric evaluation. By afternoon, Marcus had called an emergency board meeting and had himself named sole CEO. By evening, my face was all over the family group chat as a cautionary tale about mental illness and corporate pressure. I was 28 years old, and I'd lost everything in 24 hours. I slept in my car that first night, parked behind a grocery store. The security guard knocked on my window at dawn. You can't stay here, miss. I looked at him, tears streaming down my face. I have nowhere else to go. He hesitated, then sighed. There's a women's shelter on 5th Street. They might have a bed. The shelter did have a bed. It also had rules, curfews, and the constant reminder that I'd gone from corner office to charity case in a single day. I spent a week there, applying for jobs from the library computer. But Marcus had been thorough. When companies searched my name, they found articles about Peterson Manufacturing CFO takes medical leave amid investigation. Vague enough to be legal. Damaging enough to be fatal to job prospects. Nobody wanted to hire the crazy embezzler, even if neither charge had been proven. I finally got hired at a call center. $8 an hour, handling complaints from angry customers about their cell phone bills. I took every shift they offered. Nights, weekends, holidays. I added a second job cleaning offices after midnight. Then a third, waiting tables at a diner that opened at 5 a.m. I worked 20 hours a day and slept 4. I ate ramen and day-old bread from the bakery's discount bin. I wore the same 3 outfits, washed in the laundromat every Sunday. But every spare dollar went into an online business course. Then another. And another. Because here's what Marcus didn't know about me. Grandfather hadn't just taught me manufacturing. He'd taught me to see opportunities where others saw problems. At the call center, I noticed something. People called in furious about hidden fees and complicated contracts. They didn't understand their bills. Companies designed it that way, counting on confusion. What if someone simplified it? I spent 6 months building a comparison website for cellular plans. I coded it myself, working from the library after my shifts. I made it clean, simple, honest. No hidden partnerships. No paid placements. Just facts. I launched ClearChoice from a laptop balanced on my knees in the shelter common room. Within 3 months, I had 50,000 monthly visitors. Within 6 months, I had advertisers begging to be featured. I moved out of the shelter into a tiny studio apartment. I quit the call center but kept the cleaning job and the diner for steady income. Every penny from Clear Choice went back into growth. By year 2, I'd hired my first employee, another woman from the shelter who'd been a graphic designer before her divorce left her homeless. By year 3, Clear Choice covered every utility: cell phones, internet, electricity, insurance. We had 2 million monthly users and a staff of 15, all people who'd been overlooked or written off by traditional companies. By year 4, we went viral when a major cell carrier tried to sue us for exposing their hidden fees. The publicity was incredible. Users donated to our legal fund. The press called us consumer heroes. By year 5, Clear Choice was valued at $50 million. I changed my last name legally. Sarah Peterson died in that conference room. Sarah Matthews built an empire from nothing. I bought a house. Not a mansion. I remembered too well what it felt like to have nothing. But a home. With a guest room for anyone from the shelter who needed a safe place to land. I hired a private investigator to look into Marcus and Peterson manufacturing. What he found was almost poetic. Marcus was a terrible CEO. Without me handling operations, he'd made disastrous decisions. He'd lost 2 major contracts. Failed to pay suppliers on time. Let quality control slip until products were being returned by the thousands. The company my grandfather built over 40 years was bleeding money. They'd already laid off 30% of the workforce. The bank was threatening to foreclose on the building. And Marcus was desperate. "Miss Matthews," my assistant Jennifer said one afternoon, "there's someone here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent family business." My coffee went cold in my hand. "Who?" "Marcus Peterson. He says he's your cousin." I hadn't seen any of my family in 5 years. Not since I'd driven away from my mother's house through that bathroom window. I'd blocked all their numbers. Ignored every email. Moved without leaving a forwarding address. Send him in. Marcus looked older. His suit was expensive but worn at the cuffs. His hair was graying at the temples. He had the exhausted look of someone who hadn't slept well in months. He stopped when he saw me. Really saw me. The designer dress. The confident posture. The corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "Sarah." His voice was uncertain. "It's Ms. Matthews now," I said coolly. "I changed my name. You understand why." He stood there, struggling for words. "Finally, you built this. Clear Choice is yours." "Yes." I had no idea. That was intentional. I gestured to a chair. "Sit." "You said this was urgent." He sat, looking around my office like he was seeing a ghost. "You've done well for yourself. I survived what you did to me. Then I built something from nothing. While you destroyed what was handed to you." He flinched. "You've been watching the company." "Of course I have. Peterson Manufacturing is bankrupt. You've run it into the ground in 5 years. Impressive, really. Grandfather built that company over 4 decades. You destroyed it in 5. We've had some setbacks. You're 3 months from foreclosure," I interrupted. "Your largest client just dropped you. Your suppliers are demanding payment up front because you've defaulted so many times. Should I continue?" Marcus's face went red. "How do you know all this?" "I make it my business to know things. Especially about the company I was supposed to inherit. The one you stole from me." "Sarah, Ms. Matthews, I came here to apologize." I laughed. It was a harsh sound, brittle with old pain. "You came here because you need something. Let me guess. You want money. Or maybe you want me to buy Peterson Manufacturing and save it. Let you stay on in some capacity." His silence was confirmation. "Did you tell the family you were coming here?" I asked. "No. They don't know I found you. Do they know how bad things are? I've been trying to protect them from the worst of it." "How noble. You frame me, steal my company, destroy my reputation, and convince my family I'm insane. But you want to protect them from knowing you're a failure. Marcus stood up, agitated. I know I hurt you. I know what I did was wrong. But that company employs 40 people. 40 families who will lose everything if it goes under. Your grandfather's legacy will die. Don't you care about that? I care very much, I said quietly. That's why I've already made an offer to purchase Peterson Manufacturing. He froze. What? I made an offer to the bank holding your loans. They accepted this morning. As of 9 a.m. today, I own the building, the equipment, the patents, the intellectual property, and the Peterson Manufacturing name. The sale finalizes in 30 days. Marcus collapsed back into his chair. You're taking the company. I'm buying a failing business at a discount. It's just good business. What about the employees? I'll keep the ones who are competent. The rest will get severance packages. Fair ones. Unlike the packages you gave people when you laid them off to cover your losses. And the family. My parents are invested in the company. Your parents too. Uncle Richard has his retirement tied up in it. I know. I'm buying their shares at market value. They'll lose money, but not everything. That's more generosity than I was shown. Marcus's hands were shaking. And me. I looked at him for a long moment. 5 years of anger and pain and long nights working 3 jobs crystallized into this single moment. You'll be terminated effective immediately upon finalization of sale. No severance. You'll be escorted from the building by security. Just like you did to me. Sarah, please. Did you beg? I asked softly. When you were planting fake evidence. When you were telling everyone I was mentally unstable. When you stole my inheritance and my reputation and 5 years of my life. Did you think about mercy then? I was desperate. I had gambling debts. Serious ones. The kind where people threaten your family if you don't pay. I panicked. The truth, finally. After 5 years. You framed your own cousin to cover gambling debts. Yes. His voice broke. And I've regretted it every single day. When the company started failing, I realized how much I'd depended on you. How much you actually did. But it was too late to admit it. Too late to fix it. You could have confessed. At any point in 5 years, you could have told the truth. I know. We sat in silence. Outside, the city hummed with life. People working, building, dreaming. I'd been one of them once, destroyed and desperate. Now I sat on the other side of the desk. There's something else you should know, I said. I'm holding a press conference next week. I'm announcing the acquisition of Peterson Manufacturing. And I'm telling the entire story. The false accusations. The frame job. The gambling debts. All of it. Marcus went pale. You'll destroy me. Yes. I'll go to prison. Probably. Fraud, embezzlement, falsifying documents. You committed actual crimes, Marcus. I was just accused of them. He stood up slowly, like an old man. Is there anything I can say? Anything I can do? You can leave my office. Security will escort you out. I pressed a button, and 2 security guards appeared. Marcus looked at them, then back at me. For what it's worth, he said quietly, I am sorry. And I'm glad you survived. Glad you built this. You were always stronger than me. I wasn't stronger. I just didn't have a choice. You took everything that made me feel safe, and I had to build a new life from nothing. That's not strength. That's survival. The guards led him away. I watched from my window as he walked to his car, an older model, not the luxury sedan he used to drive. He sat in the driver's seat for a long time before starting the engine. My assistant knocked softly. Ms. Matthews, your next appointment is here. It's your family. My stomach dropped. What? Your mother, father, and sister. They don't have an appointment, but they say it's urgent. Should I send them away? 5 years. 5 years since I'd climbed out a bathroom window to escape their attempt to institutionalize me. 5 years of no contact, no birthday calls, no Christmas cards. Send them in. They looked older. My mother's hair had gone completely silver. My father walked with a slight limp. Emily, my baby sister, was 23 now, no longer the teenager who'd cried over my supposed betrayal. Sarah. My mother's voice trembled. Oh my God, it's really you. Ms. Matthews, I corrected automatically. How did you find me? Marcus told us, Emily said. He called this morning. Told us everything. About the gambling, the frame job, the lies. All of it. I studied their faces. Shock. Shame. Guilt. And something that might have been hope. And you believed him? I asked. After 5 years of believing I was a thief and mentally ill, you suddenly believe I was innocent because Marcus confessed. We should have believed you from the start, my father said. His voice was rough with emotion. We should have investigated. Should have trusted you. We failed you in every way that mattered. Yes, I agreed. You did. My mother stepped forward. Sarah, sweetheart, we know we can't make up for what we did. But please, please let us try. We're your family. You were my family, I corrected. Right up until you chose Marcus over me without question. Right up until you tried to have me committed to cover up his crimes. We thought we were helping you, Emily whispered. Marcus was so convincing. The evidence looked so real. The evidence was fake. But your faith in me should have been real. I walked to my desk, needing the barrier between us. I slept in my car. Did you know that? That first night after I ran. I slept behind a grocery store until security kicked me out. Then I spent 2 months in a homeless shelter. My mother made a choked sound. Oh God. I worked 3 jobs. 20 hours a day. I ate ramen and stale bread. I wore the same clothes until they fell apart. I did all of that while you posted on social media about the importance of family and supporting each other through mental health crises. We tried to find you, my father said. We looked everywhere. Not hard enough. I was in the same city for 3 years before I moved here. You could have found me if you'd actually tried. But you didn't, because Marcus told you I was dangerous. And you believed him. What can we do? Emily asked, tears streaming down her face. How can we fix this? I looked at them, these people who'd raised me, loved me, and then abandoned me when I needed them most. Part of me wanted to throw them out. To let them feel a fraction of the rejection I'd experienced. But I thought about grandfather. About the lessons he'd taught me in his workshop while we built things together. He'd always said that the hardest part of building anything wasn't the construction. It was knowing when to tear down what was broken and start fresh. You can't fix it, I said finally. What's done is done. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. That Sarah died the day you chose Marcus over her. So that's it. My father's voice broke. We lose you forever. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe. Maybe not. But if we're going to have any kind of relationship going forward, it starts from zero. No assumptions. No expectations. You don't get your daughter back just because you're finally sorry. That's fair, my mother whispered. More than fair. I'm buying Peterson Manufacturing, I told them. The sale finalizes in 30 days. Your shares will be purchased at market value. You'll lose money, but not everything. We don't care about the money, Emily said. We care about you. You cared about the money when Marcus was stealing it, I pointed out. You cared about protecting the company. That's why you believed him so easily. Because protecting the business meant protecting your investment. The truth of that hung in the air. You're right, my father said quietly. God help us, you're right. Jennifer knocked again. Ms. Matthews, I'm sorry, but you have a board meeting in 10 minutes. Thank you. I looked at my family. I have to go. You can leave your contact information with my assistant. I'll think about reaching out. But I'm not promising anything. Thank you, my mother said. That's more than we deserve. They filed out slowly. Emily paused at the door. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you built here. Who you became. I'm sorry I didn't believe in you when it mattered. After they left, I stood at my window, looking out at the city. My phone buzzed with a text from my private investigator. More information on Marcus's gambling debts. The people he owed money to are very interested in the fact that he's about to lose everything. Thought you should know. I stared at the message. Marcus had threatened my life to save his own. Had destroyed my reputation, stolen my company, and tried to have me institutionalized. Now the same people who'd driven him to those crimes were circling back. I could walk away. Let karma handle Marcus. Let him face the consequences of his choices without interference. Or, I made a phone call. This is Sarah Matthews. I need information on buying out private gambling debts. No, it's not for me. It's for someone who owes money to dangerous people. Yes, I'm serious. Jennifer appeared in my doorway, confused. Your board meeting? Push it back 30 minutes. This is important. 24 hours later, I owned Marcus's gambling debts. All of them. I'd paid off the dangerous people, and now Marcus owed me $600,000. I called him. He answered on the first ring, sounding terrified. Sarah, you owe money to some very unpleasant people, I said without preamble. Or you did. I bought your debts. Silence. Then, why would you do that? I'm still figuring that out. Maybe because grandfather wouldn't want you dead, even if you deserve it. Maybe because I'm tired of revenge. Or maybe because I want you to understand what it feels like to owe everything to someone who has no reason to help you. I can't pay you back. I have nothing. I know. So here's the deal. You'll work for me. At Peterson Manufacturing. Not as an executive. As a floor worker. Minimum wage. You'll work off your debt at 10% of your paycheck until it's paid. At that rate, it'll take you approximately 47 years. That's insane. That's generous. The alternative is I sell the debt back to the people I bought it from. Your choice. Another long silence. Why are you doing this? Because you're going to see, every single day, what you destroyed. You're going to work alongside people whose jobs you nearly eliminated through incompetence. You're going to understand what it means to build something instead of just inheriting it. And maybe, in 47 years, you'll have learned something. And if I refuse, then you deal with your creditors yourself. I hear they're very persuasive. He made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. You've become ruthless. No. I've become someone who survived you. There's a difference. I hung up. The press conference the following week was massive. Every major news outlet covered it. The headline practically wrote itself. Tech CEO reveals family betrayal, reclaims stolen company. I told the entire story. The false accusations. The evidence that proved Marcus's fraud. The gambling debts. The 5 years I'd spent rebuilding from nothing. I showed bank records, emails, everything Yanel had given me plus what my investigators had uncovered. The story went viral. ClearChoice got 3 million new users in a week. My personal story resonated with people who'd been betrayed, scapegoated, or cast aside. But I also got criticism. Why hire him at all? People asked. Why not let him face full consequences? I thought about that a lot in the months that followed. Peterson Manufacturing reopened under my leadership. I kept 30 of the original 40 employees. I hired 10 new ones, all from the shelter system. People who needed a second chance, just like I had. And Marcus showed up for his first day, wearing work boots and canvas pants instead of his designer suits, looking lost and small on the production floor. I watched him from my office, the same office grandfather used to occupy. The same desk where I'd once sat with pride, planning the company's future. My phone rang. It was my mother. I'd been taking her calls for 3 months now. Slow, careful conversations. No promises. No assumptions. Just two people trying to figure out if there was anything left to salvage. Sarah. I just saw the news about Marcus starting at the factory. Honey, are you sure about this? No, I admitted. But grandfather always said the best revenge is showing someone what they could have become if they'd made different choices. Marcus is going to spend years watching me run the company he stole, seeing what we could have built together. That feels more appropriate than just destroying him. Your grandfather would be proud of you, she said softly. I know I have no right to say that. But he would be. We talked for a few more minutes, then I hung up and returned to the window. The factory floor buzzed with activity below. Marcus was learning how to operate a pressing machine, looking confused and humbled. My assistant brought in coffee. You have a visitor. She says she's from the shelter where you stayed. She heard about your story and wanted to meet you. Send her in. The woman was young, maybe 22, with frightened eyes and a backpack that held everything she owned. I recognized that look. I'd worn it myself once. Ms. Matthews? I'm Jessica. I don't know if you remember, but you donated a computer to the shelter last year. I've been using it to learn coding. And I saw your story, and I thought. She trailed off, overwhelmed. You thought maybe if I could do it, you could too, I finished. She nodded, tears forming. Sit down, I said gently. Tell me what you need. 3 years later, Jessica was ClearChoice lead developer. She'd moved 5 more women out of the shelter system and into tech careers. We'd started a foundation that provided computers and training to homeless women across the city. Marcus was still working on the factory floor, 3 years into his 47-year debt. He'd become good at the work, surprisingly. Reliable. Quiet. Sometimes I saw him helping newer employees, showing them what he'd learned. He'd never be family again. That bridge had burned completely. But he was learning what it meant to build instead of destroy. To earn instead of steal. To work instead of scheme. My relationship with my parents and Emily was complicated. We had dinner once a month. Talked on the phone occasionally. They'd met some of my friends from ClearChoice. But there was a distance that might never close. A wound that had scarred over but still ached sometimes. Grandfather's company was thriving again. We'd expanded into sustainable manufacturing, creating products that didn't harm the environment. The employees had profit sharing. Everyone who worked there made a living wage. It was everything grandfather had dreamed of and more. I stood in my office one evening, long after everyone had gone home. The city lights sparkled below. My reflection in the window showed a woman I barely recognized, confident, successful, powerful. But sometimes, in quiet moments, I could still see her. The 28-year-old who'd climbed out a bathroom window with nothing but a backpack and $3,000. Who'd slept in her car and eaten stale bread. Who'd worked 20-hour days because sleeping meant remembering everything she'd lost. That woman had died and been reborn as someone harder. Someone who trusted less and protected herself more. Someone who'd learned that family was a choice, not a guarantee. I'd built an empire. Reclaimed my legacy. Proven everyone wrong. But I'd also lost something I could never get back, the ability to trust completely. The innocence of believing that blood meant loyalty. The comfort of knowing people would believe in you when it mattered. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. Dinner next week? I'd like you to meet someone. His name is David. I think you'll like him. I smiled, small and cautious. Maybe that was enough. Maybe family wasn't about grand gestures or perfect forgiveness. Maybe it was about showing up, month after month, trying to build something new from the ruins of what broke. I texted back, sure. Wednesday at 7? Her response came immediately, perfect. And Sarah, thank you. For not giving up on us completely. I looked out at the city I'd conquered through sheer stubborn survival. The empire I'd built from nothing. The life I'd created when everyone had written me off. Marcus had taken everything from me. My company, my reputation, my family, my peace of mind. But he'd also, inadvertently, given me something. The fire that forged me into steel. The desperation that drove me to build something bigger than I'd ever imagined. The pain that taught me exactly what I was capable of surviving. I'd wanted revenge. I'd gotten it. But along the way, I'd discovered something more valuable. I didn't need their validation anymore. Not Marcus's. Not my family's. Not anyone's. I'd built this empire for me. To prove to myself that I could survive anything. That I was more than their accusations and betrayals. That Sarah Matthews was someone worth believing in, even when no one else did. And that, more than any revenge, any reconciliation, any amount of money, was the real victory. I left the office, locking the door behind me. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new people trying to undermine or use me. But tonight, I'd go home to my house, the one I bought with money I earned through my own talent and work. I'd cook dinner in my own kitchen. Sleep in my own bed. Wake up and do it all again. Because that's what survivors do. We keep building. Keep growing. Keep proving that we're more than what was done to us. Marcus had tried to bury me. He hadn't realized he was planting seeds. And now I was a forest he'd never be able to cut down. If you found this story meaningful, I'd love to hear about your own experiences with betrayal and rebuilding. How did you find the strength to start over? What did you learn about yourself in the process? Share your story in the comments. Your journey might inspire someone else who's struggling right now.